Good afternoon, everyone. My dear story lovers from around the world, parents, librarians, and the caretakers of little ones. I'm glad you all joined today. It is afternoon in India, and I wish good morning, good evening to everyone who has joined from around the world. I respect your time, and let's see how this workshop goes. This is my second workshop for Chennai Storytelling Festival. Last year, I conducted one on the title of Anger Management and Stories, and this title of this workshop is Small Yet Mighty. Yes, let's dive into the workshop. What comes to your mind if you hear the word small? You can unmute or you can type in.
Yes, we can type in words into the chat section.
Yes, feel free to type in or unmute. Physical appearance. Okay, Rohini, tiny, yes. Compared to this big universe, we are small indeed, isn't it? Okay. How about the word mighty? Big. An ant, a microbe, a mite, a twig. Compared to us, it's small. Yes, Maya, that's well put. Yes, that's cute and lovely. Shubha, okay, thank you. My idea of this workshop is even though something which is really small, it can have a big impact towards us as a human being, towards the world, or in this universe. Even though it is small in size, it can have a really big impact on a longer run on or even in a day-to-day basis. So before we start into the workshop, I just wanted to do some movements, maybe with small and big. You know, what gestures do you want to do? The idea of mine was to go small, 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 and big, big, big. You can just feel free to choose yours. Yes, yes, I can see Rohini doing that. So small, 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 big, big, big. I'll be reading a couple of words. So let's see. If you find it to be a small one, you can just make make a small, a circle with your palm and fingers. If you feel that it is big, you can definitely go ahead with opening your fingers wide, hands wide. Okay, here we go. Pebble, yes. Mountain, paperclip, sky, ladybug, insects, aeroplane, elephant, a button, dinosaur, a cup, a ship, a blue whale, a train, a golden coin, a tiny seed, a mustard, a banyan tree, a football court. You? That's really tough, I thought. Me? All of us? Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful participation. Yes, we all have a big impact in the universe. You know, we are all connected. Invisible line, in fact, runs around all of us. And I think it works beautifully. You know, the more I smile, I see my audience. You are also smiling and reflecting. It reflects on me, and it gives me enough energy to run this workshop. So let's begin. When Eric called for the titles of the workshop, I was really thinking I should be doing. This year, I definitely wanted to do one. And I came across many people talking about this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm sure most of you would have read it. The idea of the book is a small habit of yours, even it can be a 2 minute habit or it can be a 10-minute habit of yours. You do it every day in routine consistently for over a month. You know, the percentage of difference that it causes in your life is huge. It's mighty. So I was just thinking, what if the same thing can be applied? in our practice as a storytellers to little children, the small values that we can bring in, I'm sure that it gives a big impact in them. That is the overall idea of this workshop. Small positive attributes or character traits that we can impart on the little children, of course, with the help of stories, and how big difference it can make in their lives. That is the basic idea. And I'm also an early years childhood educator. When I was reading some of the books in my syllabus, I came to across something like this called socio-cultural development. Many of us think the children are like a blank slate. We need to teach everything to them. But what many psychologists around the world they are saying is, no, they are like sponge. Even though they are not talking to you or responding to you, whatever the ability of the child is, they are always listening to you, they're always observing to you. And the place that they live in, the people that they interact, the neighborhood they are in, the cultural values or the traditions that they follow and they even see has a greater impact in them. I like to share one incident that happened to me. When I was in the US for around 3 to 6 months, I found something which was very new to me. Whenever I see people eye to eye, they just nodded their head and they greeted. In India, we say vanakkam, ulla vanga. We say come inside a home, or we just say vanakkam. We just touch our palm and fingers together. I found it totally opposite, but irrespective of the age and whatever country we belong to, I like the way they responded to us. Whatever work they are doing, they were just going around the park or they were even in a busy road. If we are making an eye contact, they just nodded their head and then they smiled. And I also came across some cultures like in China, they keep the city, very clean. Even the tiniest bit of the paper, they just put it in the dustbin. The children, they are in fact following it. They stand in the queue. Whatever we do as an adult, or as a grandparent or as a teacher, even without us explicitly telling the children, it is being followed by the children. How beautiful it is to see them observing all these things. People around them, the good things that they follow, or even sometimes the bad things that they follow, are making an impact to the children. And I've been visibly observing all this. So that's my idea of this workshop, which is taken from this book called Atomic Habits, and the impact of small things, small actions, small gestures that has been observed by the children and has been used by them or applied in their everyday life. Now, I want to share something like we all inherit properties from our parents or some characters from people around us, isn't it? To me, I will say that I have inherited uh, my character of being simple and also to be friendly. I found my parents to be grounded, and then they were like living a simple life. But what I wanted to be different from them is I want to be more organized, more planned, more organized. That kind of change I wanted to have in my life. Is that something you have to share? What you've observed from your adults or your caretakers or your teachers when you are young? Some positive trait that you learned from them that you're still using, and one trait that you want to differ from them. Is there something like that you would like to share? A set of positive traits that you inherited from your parents or from your neighbors or from your teachers, and also a few
The
traits you want to
thing
differ.
which my dad always used to tell me is like, you have to raise it to the situation and act to what is needed in the situation and not what you can do in the situation. So sometimes what we
Okay.
can do might be lesser, what is needed might be more. So we have to do what is needed in the situation than just, telling ki, chalo, I can only do this, I can only do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that trait of my dad, I really love it.
Okay. I'm sure it is useful for most of us, isn't it? A very practical advice. Okay, thank you, Rohini. And is that something that you want to differ from your parents or maybe from your teachers also? Maybe this part of his habit or his character or her character. Maybe I'm not like that. I want to be somewhere else in that space. Though I respect the person, uh, and everyone can feel free to type in the messages. Yes, Sri
Haritha,
Karuna.
can I go?
Yes,
Yeah.
Sri Karuna.
So for me, my role model was and is also my father. The three habits of my father. One, he's a voracious reader. He was a voracious reader, and I got the reading habit from him, and he used to buy a lot of books. Number two, we stayed far away from native place, and whenever, even it was 3 4 day visit to the native place, he made it a point to visit all the relatives, even far off, even though far off villages, and there was no proper commute. Somehow he made it a point and visited everybody. Although my grandmother used to grumble, "Ghar aata hai, I mean, you won't stay at home, you'll go around meeting people." But he says, when we meet them, the happiness in their face, and next time when we come, this great aunt and all, maybe like, they won't be there even. So
Yes, yes,
that is
that's right.
one habit of keeping people connected, is the second one. And third one, my father was always reinventing himself. He was born in 1950, so he's going to be 75 this year. So he was not from the era of computers. He was from Telugu medium. He learned English. Then he was a mechanical engineer and post graduation in tool design. But when computers came, he was a self-learned man of Windows, everything, and when AutoCAD softwares, and he worked till the age of 75, being a workaholic. So
Oh
there
my
is
God.
all the habits that I imbibe from him. And
Okay.
one habit that I don't want to be like is like my mother is a hoarder. In a sense, she will keep hoarding things, whether, the return gifts that people give, or, and all the steel utensils that my grandmother gave, and all the saris, and she'll keep buying saris and all. So that hoarding habit is something that I'm trying to move away and give away things of no use and maintain minimalistic approach towards life. This is one habit I.
Okay, going minimal. And I just really loved the things that you told about your father also. The habit of reading and also meeting people, however busy he and your family members are, isn't it? I agree with Rohini and Sri Karuna definitely. And at some point in time, as we get matured, we try get to differ. Something doesn't seem right. We tend to differ from our adults or teachers, and in that space, going minimalistic, it's really a challenge. And even sometime before I admit that I want to be a more organized person, that's really true. Okay. So the basic idea here is, of course, children are also like that. Even though you want them to do something, you want them to become something, there must be a safe space for them to try different things, join different classes or try different things and even many times fail. And also they let them learn from their failures. We need to set that kind of a safe space for them, because we are the parents or we are the caretakers or we are the grandparents. Parents. As we are in charge or we are taking care of them, we need to generally allow kind of different practical things for them to happen, and then let them fail a couple of times and then let them get matured. In between, I just wanted to have this match the following activity. These are a couple of folk tales that are picked up from Panchatantra and also Aesop fables. And you can just try to guess from which country this has the origin of. Of course, stories has no boundaries. It travels from one country to another. It takes different languages, different forms. Uh, but I think some characteristics from or the main characters of these stories can have the roots to a particular country. You can feel free
Anansi the
to.
spider is Africa.
Okay,
The monkey and the crocodile is India.
okay, fantastic.
The legend of the
And
white snake is
Is Japan?
China. It's a guess.
yeah,
Japan
okay,
or China, yeah.
okay.
And the tail of the bamboo cutter
Bamboo cutter is also again
is
India, I
Japan.
guess.
Japan, I think.
That's
Japan
right.
could be.
Yes.
And the fox and the grapes is Greece. Aesop's fables, I
Yeah,
think.
that's right. That's right. Yes, that's perfectly
Hmm.
right. And we are just left with
Russia,
the.
then the last one could be Russia.
Yes, this is
I don't know if
perfectly
they all
done.
are right, but yeah,
Yeah, it's
okay.
perfectly right as far as I've read. Thank you, Sri Karuna and Rohini. And others also, you can just feel free to type in your matching. There can be nothing right or wrong in this, because stories travels across different countries. and we can just proudly tell this story belongs to my country. I'm sure that is nothing wrong in that. So coming back to the socio-cultural aspect of it, even how can we easily match these character of the stories to a particular country? Because tigers or camels or crocodiles, monkeys, they can be easily associated with India, isn't it? Because they are found in many quantity in India. That's how we go with the other characters and the story names and the countries also. Is there any story which is your favorite and you can find the roots to a particular country based on the cultural values or the traditions that they can bring in?
Being from our country, I like the Jataka tales and Panchatantra
Okay,
and even stories from Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita and all that. So
definitely, definitely.
yeah, so yeah, they are my
Yeah,
favorite. Yeah.
we are a treasure trove of all the stories. Really, India is so blessed in that way. Yes, others can also generally type in. It can be your guess. You can just share a story title and you can guess the country name. It's kind of a game. Just we are just playing here. Maybe you can have a logical reason in your mind for why that tale is being rooted in this country. You can feel free to share it. How the elephant got its name. Okay, thank you, Shubha. Do you have any country origin for this story? It's more connected to African trails tales. Okay, okay, Rohini. Somehow the music. Okay. Yes, even I love many stories from Africa. I believe most of the animals and birds and insects were included in the stories because uh, children can really see them around, isn't it? We have lots of stories about the crows, the thirsty crow, the crow and the fox, isn't it? Because I believe in India, it is easy to spot a crow, and you can just quickly tell that story to a child, isn't it? You need not brain your brain and then spend a lot of time. You have heard it from your mother, your grandmother. You can tell it to the child, and if it is related, if that bird or animal is easily available, can be easily seen in and around that place where the child is growing up, she or she can easily make a connect. Straw Millionaire, Japanese folktale. Okay, thank you, Anuradha. So, what is your idea? Do you think children can easily connect if they can have a visual sense of what is happening around them, or they can easily relate to the characters in different stories? It is like a bypass, we have a flyover and we have a lot of crisscross lanes. If we can give an easy example for the child, for him or her to observe, I think these stories are having that kind of a perspective also in my idea. It is easy for the child to easily understand and also observe and maybe applying in her life also. The first thing most of our grandparents do, soon after they finish the cooking, they just take a handful of rice, the cooked rice, and then they keep it on the top of the wall. I'm sure most of people, even now, they practice it. And even that small gesture can be easily taken up by the children and it can be followed. If you can talk about a skunk or a raccoon, they may find it difficult. Yes, Shubha. Yes, I was just trying to bring that point out. Yes. Of course, we can share stories that are imaginary, like a tale about a unicorn or some characters, at least for the beginning years, even when the child is in the womb or when they're just coming out, if you can tell the stories that are easily understandable by them with the characters that are in and around your locality, I think it will be fantastic for the child to observe. Okay. Now let's go to the other matching activity. Now we are coming to the main topic of the positive character traits that we can teach to the children. And here also it's the same pattern. We have a set of story names. And what do you think can be the learning outcome from that story? Many storytellers believe that by the end of the story, we need not tell a moral. We can just leave it to the audience to understand. But taking it as a profession, when you go to a school, when you are talking to a parent, they have a lot of expectations. When you have a clear cut idea like this, what stories are we going to tell today? And what are the learning outcomes, even though we don't explicitly tell them, what are the different learning outcomes that they can have? You can, as before, you can tell to me, or you can just type in the chat box, or you can even feel free to draw over the screen. I think you have the control to draw.
The monkey and the crocodile, cleverness and quick thinking.
Yes, yes, Rohini.
Swans and the tortoise, value of silence.
Fantastic.
Blue jackal, dangers of deception.
That's perfect.
Hunter and the doves, unity and teamwork.
Yes, yes.
Mongoose
That's
and the snake,
perfectly right.
loyalty and trust. And jackal and the drum is the last one left, courage and curiosity.
Yes, very well told, Rohini. Thank you for helping me in filling this out.
Thank you.
My claps also for that. So, is there something else apart from the given take value adds that story can give? For each of this story, is there some other character trait or learning value that you can bring? Is there something that comes to your mind? It can be from any of the story. You can feel free to type in the chat box too.
Uh, Haritha, I think the monkey and the crocodile is also about using the presence of mind, you know.
Yes, yes.
So being alert, being mindful of the situation, mindfulness in a subtle way, and using our presence of mind. Um, it's along with courage, it's being alert and thinking out of the box. So many things, I feel monkey and the crocodile brings out.
So many things.
And
I
al-
really like that. Yes, Sri Karuna.
and also that value of friendship. After the monkey goes away, the crocodile realizes what a wonderful friend he had,
Yes,
and
yes.
listening to his wife, this one, he lost a valuable friend. So the loss of value of friendship, how we can't uh, let down our friends, trust, and so many lessons are there from that one single story. And yeah, so I mean, each story has multiple lessons if we actually sit and think.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
That's perfectly right, Sri Karuna. Any story
so
you pick, it has as flex. Yes, go ahead, please.
the blue jackal, along with dangers of deception, also subtly tells us stay in your own skin. Don't try to be someone else. Don't try to color yourself, even if it is for short-term, benefit. Else, once that color fades off, like you will be caught. And so
Yes.
always
In
try to
more
be your
trouble, true.
authentic self. Yeah. So like that, each story has multiple takeaways. So whenever I tell these kind of stories, I don't give the moral. Want to ask the children, and sometimes the kids really surprise us by bringing
Definitely.
absolutely new
Definitely.
perspective from their own little minds, and hearts.
Yes,
Yeah.
it happens really. That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Sri Karuna. Yes, Rohini, you want to
And
share?
also when you change the story from the perception of a character, the moral changes always.
Yes.
Because when you're portraying the story of the monkey and the crocodile, when you think from the point of view of the crocodile, the morals changes. When you think of from the point of view of the wife of the crocodile, the moral changes. So every time you change the perception of the character, the moral keeps changing. So that's also
Yes.
so beautiful. We get so many takeaways from each story when you keep on changing the roles and the characters and their perception.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Rohini and Sri Karuna. That is the beauty of any story, isn't it? If you can just write a story or print a story, it will come to maybe 6 to 10 lines, isn't it? You can just put it in a small passage, or even you can quickly narrate it with oral storytelling or any props. But just imagine how much we can do after the story. What all possibilities are there after each story? How many possibilities do we have? Just like how you told the point of view from the hero of the story or the heroine of the story, or you call it the other side, or different takeaways. I just put one takeaway from each story, but both of you brought in different different point of views and different takeaways from the story. That's what we can do as a storyteller or as a teacher. Take a small story, and soon after narrating it, just don't close it off, just need lots of time. Even you can just continue it in the next class. We can do different role plays as the children to come in front and act as the jackal or act as even the drum. How did the drum feel? The jackal kept on beating it. How did the drum really feel? What's the point of the story from the perspective of the drum, isn't it? In that case, if we can just open all these different perspectives, imagine the development that happens in the child. You know, it is completely infinite, isn't it? The different possibilities, each story that can bring in, it's uncountable. Uh, I'll just quickly erase this. So we are coming to the point like how you can choose a particular character, and how with the use of stories we can help the children understand it and even apply it in the life. So what we are going to do is, just like how we discussed now, we are taking a single story. It can be the monkey and the crocodile, or even the jackal and the drum, or any story. We just keep repeating it, you know, in different, it can be in English class or in the science class, or even in any point of time when the children are playing in the park, when when they are just finding a time to rest. We can just repeat it in different forms using puppets or only with oral storytelling, or even recently I made a card like this, a storyboard card. We can see different story. We can encourage them to make storyboards. Just repeat them, and the story just stays in their mind. The each sentence that you say, the actions, the gestures that you put, it just stays in their mind. And what we can do is connect it to a similar story. If the takeaway of the story is being brave or being courageous or integrity, you can just try to connect that story to another similar story, and you can add different variety. If you have told the story with respect to only animals or birds, you can try to bring in human characters to it. You can try to bring mythological characters to it, or even a character that doesn't exist. You can ask the children to create his or her own story. And the last 2 points are really important. Let them experience, what do we do? What do children do after listening to the story? We never know. They can face a similar situation in the home or even in the bus that they are traveling. A chance for them to be kind. The water bottle falls when the boy is traveling in the bus. He's trying to help a friend, taking the water bottle and giving to her. We never know. It can be learned from the story. As a storyteller, we just told them in the morning session. You never know. It just stays in their heart. It can come in different scenarios in their practical life. Let them experience it. And we have around the world lots of real life stories. Every day we read lots of things in the news, and also we see in the TV. We can practically discuss them, the real life stories, that each story that we are trying to tell in the next class or in the future sessions. We can just try to relate to a real life character. This is one example of the theme that I've taken is unity. What all stories do come to your mind under this theme of unity? This is quite easy, The children also like to play with each other, holding their hands, singing songs, circle times. There are different scenarios in preschooler life, or primary school life, where they are holding their hands, singing together, or sitting together. And sometimes the children don't feel one among them, isn't it? They just feel a little shy or awkward to even join the other children. So this theme of unity can be really useful in the young ages. Is there any story that comes to your mind? You can mute or even type in.
Can you repeat the question, Haritha?
Yes. I want you to talk about the theme of unity or teamwork. To put it in other word, teamwork. How can we tell stories and then
The four friends is
teach?
also there, wherein the four friends, the story of the four
Yes,
friends,
yes.
animals.
Okay. Do you want to just share it in one or two lines?
Like it's a deer, a tortoise, a mole, and a bird. They are all four friends, and one particular animal would be caught by the hunter. So they would like to, I mean, say, rescue their friend from the trap. So a tortoise lays as
As
if
they're
he's
dead.
dead, and so the
Yeah, yes.
hunter thinks like, chalo, I've got some other thing. So he drops the deer down and pulls up the turtle, and this deer runs away in the meantime. So it is that unity and that, coming together when needed
Yes.
during challenges, coming together during challenges, and then, and also gives a moral of friendship, true friendship, how one has to be together, in friendship, trust between one another. So all these characteristics you can bring in with that story.
Yes, definitely, Rohini. Yes. I have answers from Rajesh. Farmer and his sons sticks together. Yes. Thank you, Rajesh. Mona says rabbit and the old lion. It is Panchatantra tale of Mitralabam. Okay, fine. Thank you, Sri Karuna. Shubha says musicians of Brahman. Okay. If any of you want to share how you think that story has this theme of unity or even friendship or working together as a team, you can unmute and speak, or you can just even type in.
I would like to share.
Yes, definitely. Please go ahead.
When I was young, I heard the story of the bundle of sticks from my father. And every time when, it was the time to work together with our siblings, he used to say, ek aur ek gyara, that one and one makes 11, not two. And every time I
Okay.
remember that during winters, it was the responsibility given to the children to take the blankets, keep it on each and everyone's bed, starting from my grandparents because we lived in a joint family, for our parents, for our siblings. And it was like every time he used to repeat this after dinner. And there was a different energy in us. And we used to think, yes, if we stay together, we can do the things more quickly. So that always kept my siblings and me united. And till date, we can, experience that energy, love for each other. So yeah.
That's very beautifully told, Mona. I completely agree with you. And even I miss those days when my siblings are far away. I really want them to come back, this kind of the closeness and the love that we share with each other. We definitely miss it,
And that
isn't
stayed
it?
long for a very long time because when
Yes, yes.
we were getting married, we used to go
Okay.
shopping, discuss, and there was so much of stuff. There was so much of love between each other, and that started at a very young age because my
Young
father
age.
used to tell a lot of stories, and he connected that with the real life every time.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I love that, what your father did. And I'm sure you're passing it to your next
Yes,
generation
I
also,
am.
isn't it?
Yes.
Proudly you're passing it. Proud of you, Mona. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to share a personal experience of unity, teamwork, story of Ubuntu? Yes, Sri Karuna, do you want to share that story because it's new to me?
A group of children were asked to compete with each other. Among them, one boy has a uh, artificial leg, and
Okay.
all of them start competing, and this boy trails back. The rest of them are moving ahead. Then suddenly, one of the boy turns back, looks at this boy, and stops in his tracks. And when he stops, the rest of the boys, all the boys stop, and they all walk together
Oh,
towards the end line. And all the parents and organizers and teachers clap for all the boys. Like, there is strength in. They didn't want to compete with this one, and they all were
when
together, united with this boy who
they all
couldn't.
won.
They all went together.
Yeah,
So
they
that is
all won. Such a
really
beautiful
one of
story.
my
Yes.
favorite
Favorite.
beautiful stories. That
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. Thank you, Shrikaran. I've heard it in a different name. Yes, I completely agree with you. how can we expect this? Imagine if we as an adult, if we are in a competition, I'm sure most of us will run towards the finish line, isn't it? If you are facing this kind of situation, we know. But that's a purity of heart the children has, they are like clay. Whatever we give them in a good way, we teach them, they easily absorb it, they shape themselves. It's not like we are shaping them. Whatever they are exposed to, they get shaped to that. Thank you, Srikarna, for that story. Yes. Paru ma'am says the boat story. Paruma, do you want to share?
Once it's a very small story about five friends, and one of the friends knows how to swim, and and it sort of teases the other that I'm going for a swim to the other side. You people do not know how to swim.
Okay.
So the other four make a boat out of a coconut shell. One brings a coconut shell. The ant brings a thread, and a leaf is brought by the a ladybug. These are the friends over there, and they make a boat out of it, and they are able to row the boat and go to the other side.
Oh my God,
And
that's amazing.
yeah, it's
So
a
cute. I
beautiful
haven't heard
meaningful
this story,
story.
Yes.
Parvati.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's by Sutuye. It's there on the net also. I
Okay.
think it's a Russian small picture story. It is. It's a
Okay.
very cute story. It is. Yeah,
Okay,
and
Paruma.
the frog is left behind. But when I tell the story, I sort of tell you also jump in. You'll all go to the other side. Sort of end it that way.
I'm sure children will love this, isn't it? Imagining that they are building a boat with the
Yes.
things that are
Yeah.
available,
Yeah. That
crossing the
was it.
river.
Yes. Yes. It's a beautiful,
Definitely
very small
fantastic.
story, but beautiful story. Each one brings one item, and they make a sailboat sort of.
Okay.
The
Wonderful,
boat you
Paruma.
can type in on the internet. You will find that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
sharing,
you.
Paruma. Thank you,
Thank you
Sharma,
for
Paruma.
this.
Yes, Paruma. Yes, I can see Sudha ma'am's hand up. Sudha ma'am, do you want to share?
Yeah, this is not really a story, Haritha, but we've seen this happening right from our kitchens to the evening sky. So, let's say you spill some sugar on the kitchen counter, and then ants come from somewhere, and they all come in a perfect line, one following another, and there's some method in how they come for the, and
Communicate. Okay.
even if you disrupt the line, they sort of make a detour and
Yes.
then come back. Likewise, when you're watching the evening sky, when the birds are flying home, they form that perfect V, and together I think this was one phenomenon that inspired Abdul Kalam, because
Okay,
his
great to know
teacher,
that. Okay.
yeah, his teacher, incidentally, I wrote a book on Abdul Kalam for DK India. So that's how I
Okay.
know this, about this anecdote. And his teacher used to take them out, the children out in the evening, and point out how the birds fly and how they're following scientific principles, and they're able to fly faster when they are in perfect alignment with each other.
Yes. I even read about the birds take turns, isn't it? If the bird was in the end, after some time it takes different
Yes, they
position. It's like
switch.
sharing the load. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes. Yes. That's a real life story, I should say. Thank you, Sudha ma'am, for sharing this.
Not at
We
all.
definitely related to it. Okay. Is if someone else wants to share, please go ahead. I've put a couple of examples here. What I've really tried with the children for the last 3-4 years is that we pick a particular trait, teamwork or unity, and we start with one story. We just don't end there. It's like building a chain, it's like magnet. You attach one magnetic tile to the other, one magnetic tile to the other. It's like engraved in their mind, and it comes out beautifully in their actions, in their words. Few examples that I've cited under this theme of or the character trait of unity is the story of lion and the bulls, and the doves and the hunter. Both these stories are applying to this theme, and you can even ask the children to be the bird. You can ask all the children, just like how Sudha ma'am just said, they can all act like a bird. You can have some simple cloth above them. You can just ask them to raise. They all love this. When they're doing it in the class, but you can just use your dupatta for that matter. Generally, we carry it in the for our own purpose. You can just use that dupatta for that matter, or any other proper cloth. You can ask the children to act as a dove, and you can yourself be the hunter. And ask them to raise up, and you can just, if possible, you can ask them to go out of the classroom, go to the ground. That's the most funniest part. They'll just love to go out of the class, be in the ground for some time, and then they come back to the nest. It's like coming back to the tree or coming back to the nest. They all love this small activity. And adding variety, I thought of because the other story examples were related to birds and animals. How about this enormous turnip? The entire family and even the pet animals, of course, it is also kind of a family member. The cat, the rat, they are also pulling the enormous turnip together, and they pull out the turnip and they all make a soup and they eat. Sometimes the children ask, will the cat eat the soup? Is the mouse able to drink the soup? Do they really like it? Are they vegetarians? You must really listen to the kind of questions they ask. It's like it opens a big space for them. They the capability of their thinking and the questioning part, the reasoning part, the problem solving part, it just expands in these kind of activity. Of course, other thing that I've tried is this bundle of sticks, as told by Mona. I think she spoke about this story. This is all easy to do. You can grab a couple of pencils, you can ask them to break, pretend that it is breaking, and give individual pencils and see if it's breaking easily or not, setting some examples like that. And everyday experience at home, if you are as a parent, if you want to try the story at home, cooking, asking them to join when you're cooking or washing car, that can be a really fun activity for the children to do. And real life stories are examples of climbing the big mountains. You can't do that without support. You need some guidance, you need some support. Or if you do it as a team, climbing up the mountain, even though it is a big effort, it doesn't seem so, isn't it? You can tell the children the stories or real life stories of mountaineers who are making a dangerous trip across the Mount Everest. But how did they really achieve it? So bringing out real life stories also, especially to if the children are 10 to 14 years old, they can easily grab the theme of the story. And the other one I thought it is easy to understand for the children to begin with is honesty. Of course, this is a favorite tale of most of us, isn't it? The honest woodcutter. And here are some examples that I've put. If you have a paper or pencil and a notebook, I want you to pick any characteristic tale, and I want you to just jot down these 6 points. What is the tale that you want to share? How often would you repeat? If so, is there a particular pattern that you would repeat? Do you want to use only oral storytelling or some puppets or some crafts? Will you take the children outside? And what is a similar story that you will say? If, for instance, for this theme of honesty, the main story that I preferred to take was the honest woodcutter, and the next story link that I would prefer is the story of the king and the seeds. This is a famous story from China, having its root from China, where a king gives a seed and asks the children to see if they can bring it up as a plant. I'm sure most of you know about the story. If possible, I just want you to write all these 6 points. And what kind of variety will you add? Will that be a different story? Will that be an activity? Let's take a few minutes for this.
Haritha, can you repeat the question? I just, was out like there was a power cut.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, no problem, Rohini. I'm trying to ask you to write only these things. Pick any characteristic trait. It can be like kindness. gratitude, integrity, anything. And I want you to write answers for these six
Okay.
pointers.
Okay,
What is
fine.
the tale that you will take?
Okay.
What is the characteristic trait that you will try to teach?
Okay.
And you can feel free to type in the chat box too if you don't have a notebook or pen near you. Yes, Shubha, the story of the golden goose, similar story will be Midas touch. Importance is not being greedy, of course. And we can even add the story of the greedy dog. Yes, Shubha, I agree with you. Thank you for sharing, Shubha. And you can even think about how you can make it interesting for the children. Maybe if you want to give them a hands-on experience, what kind of activity will you suggest for them to absorb this characteristic trait? Need not be greedy.
For me, a
And if
story which I
the
love a lot is The Courageous Parrot, which actually suits the theme of yours, small yet mighty.
Okay,
The forest, the little bird that saves the forest, considering it as its home. So there you
yes,
have lots of elements, the elements of courage, the element of, rising to the situation, the element of, being compassionate towards your fellow beings, and also gratitude for what the forest has given the little bird as a home. So these elements can be added, and you can as well relate it to the real life scenarios where children can also think of the areas wherein they have they have been courageous, they have been brave, where they have faced certain challenges but still rose above them, and also to whom they were thankful. All this kind of making a gratitude tree or a thankfulness jar,
good.
all these kind of activities
Wow.
I usually make with this story. It
Oh,
is, as you said, repeat as often as you can. I
yes,
used it
yes.
many a times. So this is one of my
That's
favorite
wonderful,
stories.
Rohini. That's really wonderful. And you put everything together, all the activities that you do
Yes.
and different takeaways from that story. In one story, you just told so many takeaways for the children, isn't it? The
Yeah.
beauty is that it's not like we teaching maths or English to them. It's like a normal conversation that we can have with the children, but they absorb so much from the
Mm.
story.
Yeah. The thing is, even if the story does not have a particular element, we can embed those elements to
Yes,
emphasize on that
yes,
particular quality. So
yes,
that way also we
definitely.
can, yes.
Tweak it. Yes, definitely, Rohini. Little Red Riding Hood create a similar personal experience story. Okay. A child facing danger on the way and give her tips to protect herself in such a scenario. Wonderful, Sudha ma'am. Yes, this looks like need of the hour, isn't it? Safety of the child. It can be boy or girl, whoever it is. Being aware of the environment where they are walking or playing, and being alert. Yes, Sudha ma'am. Sudha ma'am, do you have something to share?
No, like you said, it's very very important because children go alone to so many places, tuition and
Yes,
maybe music class and wherever else for extracurricular activities. So we have to teach them how to be safe and whom to reach out should there be any problem on the way. So I just
definitely. Fantastic, Sudha ma'am. Yes. So we have Mona who says Beauty and the Beast repeat during meals or short walk. Similar. You paraya kich. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not good in Hindi. I don't want to read it wrong. Family story in my mother tongue. Okay, variety. Write names of character. What would you have done if you were in one of the character? Draw your favorite character. Experience respecting boundaries. Real life in school while socializing. Well put, Mona. If you want to share about the story or how you would take it forward to the children, please feel free to share it with us. I'm sure we all will learn from each other.
What I normally do is I share this story when there are sibling rivalry because they are snatching over the things, they're taking their stationery or stickers at this point of time. So I normally tell both these stories, and mealtime is I like telling the story in my mother tongue. It's in Punjabi.
Okay.
Kyun paraya khichad khada. It's about the birds that were preparing khichdi, and one of them went to bring water for the meals, and the other one ate the entire thing without
Oh,
respecting that they have done it
okay.
together. And so yeah, during meals or having their favorite snack, they should not snatch it from others. They should respect the boundaries. They can ask and take if the other
Yes.
one permits. So this is how I use it. And
Okay,
I tell
wonderful,
them that
Mona.
when you're socializing, you are in school, you should not take things of your friends like that. If you wish to, you need to ask.
Yes.
So yeah,
This will be a great story. Yes, yes.
yes.
Yes, Mona, go ahead.
So now they actually do this. So I can see the change of what I have done. Yeah, the seeding has been done, so I can see
Oh,
the plants
wonderful.
coming.
Wonderful, Mona. Great work, Mona. This will be helpful for children to cope up with friendship also. They like to play with each other, but sometimes they don't want to share things.
Yes.
Uh, this will be really useful with respect to friendship also, I believe.
And
You know?
multi-purpose, because for Beauty and the
Yes.
Beast, they come out with their own version of how
Okay.
would have they, they feel so bad for the Beauty going to the Beast house, and he's so cruel initially. But then at the end, because the story ends well, they are happy for it. But then they have a
Okay.
different perspective. They don't take the way I am telling it. So, but yes, it's fun
Okay.
telling them.
Actually, yes, we can get some ideas from them, some learnings from them, isn't it?
Yes.
That's always there in any storytelling session. Thank you, Mona. Thanks a lot. Yes, I can see Neeta Joshi's hand up. Neeta?
Yeah, hi Haritha.
Hi,
So
Neeta.
I love to share a story of an owl. I do that with puppets and all, with the young children, and it's written by me only. So
Okay.
it's a small owl that, and he's taking lessons from his father to how to fly. And every time when his father is teaching him the lesson, he'll remind him, Ki, you are so small, don't try flying without any guidance and all. But once his father went out in the night to for searching for food and all, and this curious owl, he just went out to explore the world, and then he got lost.
Mhm.
And then luckily he found a big bird that rescue him and help him to get to his parents. But it's a beautiful story that I've crafted and used voice modulation and different parts to show the kids. And it shows that the kids should wait for the right time to explore the world. Nowadays, what's happening, this young teenagers and kids, they are trying this driving and all is a very early age and they fall in danger. So I think this kind of story with the young children, it will help them to just learn that things should fall at the right place at the right age, and we need to learn that, and you should not fall in danger. So
Yes,
yes,
Neeta.
stories we
Wonderful
can
story.
tell anything to kids at a right
Okay.
age also.
Yes, glad to know that you have shared your own story. And patience and waiting for turns. Yes, it's really a challenge in this digital age, isn't it? We are living in the age of shorts and waiting for turns or being patient for something to be received. It's really a tough time for children. Yeah, I'm sure the story will really help them, Anita. And
Thank
how do you go about in adding a variety or any hands-on activities that you have tried with the children? Do you wish to share that?
Uh, I mean, for a role play, I invite them, and a similar story sometimes I also do. I mean, so it's like key, and with a real life story, sometimes share that yes, it's happened once with me and with my child. That it's way. So I connect with the real life stories with them, so they easily
Okay.
connect with the story like that way. I do.
Okay, fantastic, Nita. Thank you. If Shubha wants to share, please go ahead, Shubha. Shubha, Sophie. Sophie?
Actually, I want to share something like if there is a thirsty crow story and the fox and the grape story, and we ask them, the crow is coming with the victory, and it meets the fox. So it encourages the fox. You can try one more time. You can go to a different vineyard, something like that.
Oh,
The children are very much. We can ask them. So if the crow comes and asks the fox something it tells to pacify. What will it tell? Then they'll come with different ideas.
that's a brilliant thing, merging two stories and bringing out
Uh,
a
yes,
different perspective.
yes, and we are
Yes,
then teaching. They are coping up skills. They'll express their coping up
improve.
skills. How they
Yes,
yeah.
definitely. Yes. Some things they can't share with the parents or even in a home scenario or even with teachers. In this kind of a session or a storytelling session, children really open up. I totally agree with you, Sophie. That's a brilliant idea that you have shared. Thank you, Sophie.
Yes, and I wrote a story recently that it's Brilliant Billy. It's about how
Okay.
the children unused toys are there staying at home, and the children are more into gadgets. So,
Okay.
and the boy realizes he will have a dream, and then there will be a fairy who comes and tells the boy who's not having a toy that you can just have a magic wand I give you. If you wear that, all the toys that is unused by the children,
Oh,
and they are watching the gadget, will come running to
oh.
you. Actually, this was told to my neighbor, and the immediate result was from next day he
Oh,
started riding his bicycle and all those things. So I have
oh.
seen this story having an impact. So I just wrote it in our um,
That's really helpful to the sage parents, isn't it?
yes.
Fantastic, Sophie. Even I will try to use the story going forward. That's a good idea that you've shared. Thank you,
Thank
Sophie. I'd like to invite Aparna, Shubha, even Sudha ma'am. If you want to speak up, turn on your video. Please feel free. I can see a lot of inputs being shared in the chat box. I'm really glad to get all these ideas.
Um,
Yes. If not, we can
Haritha,
just. Yes. Yes, Lavanya.
yeah, if I may share just a
Yes,
point,
definitely.
because these conversations are very interesting and it's lovely to listen to the discussions which have. Can you see me?
Yes,
I don't know if
Lavanya. Yes, yes, clear.
my video is okay. I'm not
Yes,
able to.
yes.
One second. Okay, so um, I just wanted to add one point. That's all. I'm sure as storytellers, we all practice that. But just as a small reminder, is that, when we go with the preparation, we choose stories with some intentions to pass on good habits or caution them, make them aware of certain things and all that. Like we all do, just not mention the moral of the story is, because that everybody is stuck with just one option. I mean, there's no option, just one thing. So if we kind of don't mention that, and more importantly, stop a little before the ending of the story
Okay.
and leave it open. Like tell them, what do you think would have happened? Would you have liked it if it had happened like this? Or do you like the end of the story, or you want to change it? Then what happens is there are a lot more perspectives coming in from the children in their own context. They are the stakeholders. They're the ones who are in that, and we are giving importance to their feelings. So I
Yes, I
feel,
completely agree.
yeah, as a storyteller or an educator or as a parent, especially in the changed context, like, our upbringing was different. I'm sure your upbringing also had been different. And now with the children, the youngsters, time is changing so fast, right? So it is good for us to engage them in conversations, stopping a little before, or like someone else also said, like I think Rohini, what do you think would have happened in case it had happened differently, or this
Differently.
person had acted differently? These kind of conversations need to be, I mean, there I feel the short stories can be short. I know it is difficult when the children get very excited and we give them, especially the storytelling class can become very chaotic in terms of noise and other classrooms. Those are the challenges. But putting that aside, I'm sure we are all capable of handling that, one after the other, or raise your hands before answering. But it's very important to make this space accessible to every child and let them think. That's more the idea. Like, while we go with a plan, select the stories according to the audience, according to the syllabus, and all these things. It's very, very important to give them the onus should be on them.
Ownership.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to bring that point here because we are all there and we are all doing it. But at the same time, just as a recap or a,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Definitely,
thank
Lavanya.
you.
I respect your point. Yes, definitely. It's important as a storyteller, we just don't tie end of the story to one point. We can definitely
Yeah,
let it loose for the children to take it go forward. Yeah,
yeah. And
definitely, Lavanya.
Haritha, just 1 minute, because in terms of an activity, maybe we can do the activity after this. As I'm talking to you, I'm getting this idea. When we stop before the ending of the story, and then have a story building activity, like pass on from there what happens to the next. Let them build the story,
Create the
or
story.
maybe,
Yes.
yeah, end the story or begin the story all over again, or pick up one instance from the middle and keep building it. How it goes, it will be very interesting. Of course, we facilitate it to kind of shape it properly and let them
Yes.
enjoy, let them kind of be creative. At the same time, it all happens in a structured way. Yeah, because that structure is also important.
Yes, definitely.
That's
Definitely, Lavanya. Wonderful inputs from you, Lavanya. Thanks a lot.
my pleasure.
Thank you,
I too have
Lavanya.
learned a lot from
Uh-huh.
this
Thank
workshop.
you,
Yeah.
Lavanya. Thank you, Lavanya. Thank you for your words. Maya, do you have something to share with us? Please go ahead, Maya.
Hi.
Hi,
Yeah,
Maya.
I'm really enjoying the workshop too. I used to teach children a lot, and I often told them a story that's very famous in certain circles in America. It's called Turtle Island,
Okay.
and it has to do with the original people, the Native American people, calling our land Turtle Island. And I was just occurring to me that the way you're presenting this workshop, that would be a good story for my conservation work. I'm now involved in environmental conservation, because it's a story of the sky goddess, the wife of the sky chief, falling through a hole in the sky when she's pregnant and carrying seeds from the main tree of life from the sky,
Okay.
giant tree in the sky. And when she comes to the earth, there's no land. There's only water at that point. And the animals in the water look up and they see her coming down and they realize she's not going to be able to survive. She'll drown. So they send various members of the water tribe down to try to get a piece of dirt from under the ocean and to make a many characters. But eventually, this little muskrat dives down under the ocean, gets some mud, and puts it on the back of the turtle and
Okay.
makes the claw marks which in nowadays they say the claw marks are the lines in the turtle shell that go all around the shell. And then the turtle shell begins to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's all very fantastical. The land gets bigger and bigger and bigger on the turtle's back. The woman who's falling down from the sky, this goddess from the sky, is caught in the wings of the swans who fly up to break her fall, and they put her on the turtle's back. And as she opens her hand, the seeds from the tree from the sky fall out and take root, become the first grasses on earth. And I'm not quite sure how I'd work with it now, but it's such a rich story about that even our land came from somewhere spiritual, magical, maybe somewhere far beyond our imagining, and that the first grasses, that there was evolution, and that animals and people were involved in helping make that happen, and that it has an element of the sky and an element of the earth, an element of water. So I'm not quite sure, because I've never thought about trying to use that story to apply it to how can each person help create more land or help create more food from the land to share. But nowadays, with all the conservation challenges up, it'd be nice if anybody has an idea to tie it in to planting trees or to creating more forest. If any of you have ideas, I'd love to hear it. And I'm just telling a very, very short version of the story.
Okay, Maya. Okay. Glad you shared that with us. I think this kind of story will encourage children to think out of the box, how the rabbit got a short tail or the tortoise got this shell. Definitely. Yes, was there someone else who was speaking? Okay, wonderful, Maya. Thank you for sharing the story.
And I also, if anybody has any really good stories that would
Yes,
work for
yes,
conservation in general, please feel free to put it in the chat.
yes.
Thank you.
Please share your ideas with Maya. Feel free to use the chat box, or even you can unmute and share your ideas. Yes. This is another example I wanted to share with respect to picking a particular character. Before we were talking about a character trait, being honest, teamwork, courageous, brave, kindness, integrity. This is just the opposite. You take a particular character. For a fox, you can try to build almost like 50 to 100 stories if you want. You can try to build. But what kind of fox are you trying to portray? Is it always cunning? Is it always trying to play pranks? Always trying to cheat? One version of the fox and the lion and the rabbit story I heard was, it was the fox who went and to gave this idea to the rabbit. Tell the lion that there is another lion inside the well. There is another lion who wants to be the king of the jungle. He's there in the well. Just go and tell him. So it was a fox who actually encouraged the rabbit to get out of the situation, in the story of the lion and the rabbit. So sometimes we are like that, isn't it? We are not the same every day. It depends on our mood, how we speak with each other, how we interact with each other, it changes. So in this point of view, you can either take a particular character, animal character or a bird character, and what kind of stories will you pick, and what are you trying to, what can you try to teach the children. So this is the other way around, just the opposite of what we saw before. Another example of line, I'm just rushing because considering the time that we have, I've just listed a few positive character traits that can be seeded in the children. Is there some story which comes to your mind? It can be any topic from this slide. We have generosity, helpfulness, responsibility. If you want, you can just type in self-control, diligence, perseverance, maturity. If you want to share with fellow tellers, please feel free. Okay, please make use of the chat box. If you get any idea, definitely put in. So now coming to our role as a storyteller or as a parent or as a caregiver, where will I start? How will I start? I need not keep working on it every day. How can I make the work easier? So this is one idea that I have is making the things visually for yourself. You can quickly grab your diary or a note and you can just list the stories that you have already known or you have already heard or it has been already passed on to you from your parents or grandparents and what kind of things that you want to impart in your child. So this is one kind of a simple way to make your work easy. What I've taken is two different stories, the doves and the hunter and the lion and the bulls. And the theme that comes to your mind or the character trait that comes to your mind is unity. If you're supposed to draw a diagram like this, what kind of stories will you pick? Do you think it will make your work easy? You can even expand it to the next level. Not just with a story name, it can you can even quickly write a shorter version of the story inside the circle. What other similar stories come to your mind, or how can you expand it? What is the common thing that connects all the story and how each story differs? I think this kind of a Venn diagram will really help us in making our work easier. Kind of a reference that we can make. So this Venn diagram is one idea, and the other one is the use of tables, the classic tables that we always use, since our school days, college days, our work days. This is a standard format of the table. Quickly go to the Microsoft Office, grab a spreadsheet, and then put in entries like this. Though it can seem like an effort, it is like a one-time effort, but it can be useful for you, as a storyteller or as a parent. You can even pass it to the next generation. You can give it to your daughter or your son if you have a small diagrams like this Venn diagram or this table. It's like a quick reference that you can have. I personally love the stories that I've shared here in terms of the selflessness, the giving tree. We all know the story. Whenever the boy comes till when he was young until he grows old, whatever he asks for, the tree gives. And in the end, only the just the stump of the tree stands, and the old man just rests on it. And what I could relate in real life story is Nobel Prize winner Malala. She is such a young girl, but she fought in her country, Pakistan, for the girls' education. I'm sure most of you would have heard about Malala. And this beautiful story of boy and the drum across the three theme of generosity. I'm sure most of us would have know about Tata Groups and Warren Buffett too. And the last idea that I would suggest is mind mapping. This is like you don't have any end to it. You can just keep developing it. I've taken this example of courage. Under the courage, what all would you like to share? Is it a bird story or is it a long story? Are you going to an adult session or you're taking a workshop? Or you going to tell a 10-minute story? You can just put them in under this category of long stories. The story, and the Monkey King's journey that takes has its roots from China. Or are you going to tell a really short story and you're going to have some hands-on activity with the children? So you can draw a note called short stories. And as I think Rohini, you spoke about this story, the brave parrot.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And if you're going to do an activity, what activity are you going to do? If you're going to include a song or an action or a body movement, do you want to make a note of it? Sometimes as storyteller, we get stuck. I've done this story a couple of years before, but what did I do exactly that day? There was a song, but I forgot the lyrics. I forgot the tune of it. If you have a mind mapping like this, it can really help. It can be really helpful for you even after many years. If it's a story, is it country based, different country having its roots from different country? If it is that case, then is it from India? Is it from Africa? Is it from Indonesia? So this kind of mind mapping is in these days it's really easy. We have different apps. Uh, which can it really saves our time. All that we need to do is just type in the text boxes, this drawing, this arrows and box. It's really easy. You can just do it in a couple of minutes. All our effort is required is in the entry part of it. How are we going to connect all these? So these three ideas I wanted to suggest to make our work easy: drawing simple Venn diagrams to start with, expanding the Venn diagram as you gather more ideas about the stories, about the takeaways, and the classic format of tables, mind mapping. And of course, we might have challenges. As soon as we tell, sometimes the children don't, sometimes they won't be in the mood to listen to us. They may be going here and there. Sometimes they can't even understand. I just wanted to ask you, what kind of challenges have you faced in your journey? Do you wish to share? Sudha ma'am, do you have something to say?
Even the same story with two different audiences, child audiences, or even adults, can elicit an completely contrasting reactions. So I think you
Okay.
should be, that is a big challenge, and you have to be prepared for it. A presentation might leave one group doubling up in laughter, the others will be very quiet and not react at all. So that I think you have to be willing to adapt and be very
Adapt,
agile.
accept. Yes, agile. Yes.
Yeah, and get a hold on the kind of audience and what is drawing them in.
Okay. Yes, definitely. We can even retrofit on what had just happened, and maybe you can improvise it in the next session of us, isn't it?
Mm.
Yes. Thank you, Sudha ma'am. I just got one thing that sometimes in the online session of my with my students, I used to try. After reading a story, we generally we tell the story. We also read the story with the children. I generally pick up the adjectives from the story. It generally what it describes about the nouns, about any human character or a bird or an insect, and I just ask them to classify. We need not be judgmental about how they go forward. Some things are really tricky. Is being quiet a positive character or a negative one? We can't say that. Can we give one answer to this to a child? And there are certain characteristics, certain personality traits are like this. It requires a lot of time for us to listen to the child. What is her perspective? Why did she say that being quiet is a positive character, being quiet is a negative character, and even lazy for that matter? A Sunday I'm lazy. Is there anything wrong in that case? But as a parent or as a caretaker, why are you lazy? Why don't you do your homework? We ask them, isn't it? We have our rights to be lazy on a Sunday or on a weekend, but we ask the children to do their homeworks or prepare for a session. So being lazy is a good positive trait or a negative trait. I generally do this activity. Children generally love this activity. They talk about their friends and family. It goes on for a long time. Of course, some things are undisputable, like kind, being confident, neat, brave. If you have any thoughts on this, or you find any character traits that are tricky, you can't put them in the plus or the minus part of it, you can go ahead and share. Okay, I generally ask them to write this, and I ask them to read it out, and ask them for the reason also. Why did you say that this is a positive character and negative character? If you wish, you can just try it out after your story reading aloud session. And we have the last 5 minutes, so for any general discussions, we can go forward. Thank you for your wonderful participation. I would go through all the comments in the chat responses in the chat box. Sorry, I was not able to listen to it, read it before. Thank you for your wonderful active participation. It really made this workshop active and easy for me to finish it off.
Okay, thank you. It's been a wonderful workshop.
Thank you, Eric.
Does anyone else want to add anything?
It's been really wonderful, Haritha, and you brought out a unique concept altogether, and especially that Venn diagram and mind mapping was very beautiful because I do have a repository of my stories wherein I just mentioned the title of the story, the source of the story, probably from a book, or if I've heard somebody sharing the story, and a small
Okay.
skeleton of it. And I do write the elements of the story. So every time I have to write I'm to rewrite the story or retell the story with with another element, I would add to this.
Oh,
But the
okay.
way you have shown it, that the Venn diagram and that particular mind mapping format it's really unique, and probably I have to try in that way.
Yeah.
That's really
I
good. I really loved it.
Thank you, Rohini. I would also like to share the app that I use. It's called Canva. I think most of you use
Yes,
it, isn't it?
yes.
Canva is a fantastic tool for mind map. Even the pictures that I brought in today, especially the mind map, I just took 1 minute to do that, you know. It was readily available. I picked my favorite Venn diagram or the mind map. I just put the story names in it and the details to it. If someone is not aware of it, try using Canva for mind map. It's really fantastic. I'm sure many other apps are there. I'm aware of this app called Canva.
Thank you so much, Haritha, as well. It was informative. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Sophie.
It
Loved
was
your
great.
inputs too.
Yeah, you really did what you set out to do, the small but mighty, and there was a wonderful discussion throughout.
Yes, yes,
Thank you to
Eric. I'm glad
everybody.
about that.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Thank
well
you, Eric.
organized workshop, Haritha. Great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Neeta. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Haritha,
Thank
for
you for
the session.
thank you, Neeta, Mona. Thank you, Mona.